Hi, I'm Jen Gallacher and welcome to a Save the Crafty YouTuber Video Hop. Today I'm going to be sharing a technique with you. If you're participating in this special YouTube hop, then I will link you to the next person below. So for today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to use one of Jillibean Soup's brand new holiday shaker sets. And I'm going to walk you through how to use this set to create a shaker card. A shaker card is a great holiday card. So we're going to start with this Merry and Bright stamp set, and it has dies and it has stamps, and they can be used together or alone. Then you'll also need a Jillibean Soup tree in the same size shape as the one that is shown on the stamp set. I'm also using my Misty stamping tool to create this card. So I wanted to create a little bit of a scene. So I'm taking the gingham stamp first and I'm placing it onto the card front. Now I close the Misty stamping tool, pick it up, and then I can ink the stamp with stamping ink. And I'm using Stampin' Up's Granny Apple Green, but I'm going to use a slightly darker and a slightly lighter ink. So once you have it inked, you close the platform, and then I like to get a nice even inking stamp, or image rather, so I will stamp it twice, and then I'll just use a baby wipe to clean off the surface of both my platform as well as my stamp. And if I need to, I'll just grab an extra baby wipe, and it just cleans up so nice. So you want to make sure that you get all the ink you can off the stamp, because we're going to place it right back onto the card again. We want to make sure that we have it about the same distance and about the same placement as the original one. So we'll use the grid that appears on this stamping platform. I'm going to pick up that stamp again, and I will ink it. And then again, I'll bring it back and I'll stamp it onto my card, and I'll do this step twice. I love my Misty stamping tool. It's not a necessity, but when you want to do double stamping like I just did, it's perfect. So go ahead and clean off your stamp, and I'll show you how to use the next part of the stamp set. Now we're going to use the bigger stamp, and this is the stamp that goes inside the card. So I've folded the card so that you can now see the inside part. You can see that the way that I stamped the card, this particular part of the trees does not show through. So this part is going to appear to be the front. So what we are stamping is we're actually stamping the inside of the card. So get the placement right, pick up the stamp, and this time I'm using Willow. This is from Close to My Heart. It's a slightly different green, and I tested my colors before so that I could choose colors that I thought looked good together. And this one may take a couple of times just because that image is on the inside. Sometimes you have to press a little firmer, or you might have to pass over it a couple of times just to get all of the ink in there. So this time we'll press nice and hard and firm. And now you can see that the tree is stamped on the inside of the card. So you could leave the card as is, and this would be a charming card where you can open it up and there's a tree on the inside, but we're going to add the shaker piece to this. Now Jillibean has designed all of this so that it works together. So clean off your stamp and let's prepare for the next step. So Jillibean has already designed these pieces to fit perfectly within the card opening. So turn over the card and place the filler down on the card. And I'm just using some embossing powder to hold it. Then they have a lot of different fillers to choose from. They have wood veneer, they have little foam balls, they have little crystals, they have little green shaker card, or shaker sequins rather, but I thought it'd be fun to do more of a naturalist kind of a tree. And you don't have to super fill it. In fact, I may take a few of these out because I want to still see that stamped image in the back. All right, now slowly pick up the card, and what you want to do is you want to bring this piece forward onto this piece, and then you're going to press firmly. And what that does is that presses that sticky back right into the back of your card. Now flip it over and you can see how it looks. And now you can see how the shaker works. Fits perfectly, the stamp is perfectly aligned. Now we can go ahead and add embellishments and a sentiment. For the sentiment, I've cut a piece of black cardstock the same width of the card, and I'm using the phrase, "Christmas is love with all the trimmings." I'm going to stamp this with Versamark stamping ink because I want to do some embossing. And I really recommend the Misty stamping tool for something like this, because with a phrase that has this small and this detailed of letters, sometimes it almost always takes me 2 passes to get the entire phrase stamped. And even then, it looks like I'm not quite catching that E. But because of the stamping tool, I can do this as many times as I want, and I'm not worried about perfect placement because the tool does all the work for me. So you can kind of see here what I'm doing. And then my technique for adding embossing powder is just to use a folded sheet of printer paper. I'm using gold embossing ink. I'm going to bring a little bit of gold with this particular piece. And you want to give nice coverage over the whole piece. If you didn't get enough, just sprinkle on a little more on the areas that didn't. And then go ahead and emboss it with an embossing gun. So here is that piece with the gold embossing powder. We'll add this to the bottom of our card, right along the bottom edge of those gingham stamped trees. And then to bring a little pop of color, I'm going to take the largest star and we're going to stamp a star at the very top of the biggest tree. So because I already have the filler on this part of the card and I decided to add the star, I have opened the card and I'm just using a clear acrylic block. And then I have lipstick red from Simon Says Stamp. And we'll just go ahead and stamp that on the top. That is a beautiful red. So here's what this card looks like folded. So really, shaker cards are not that difficult, especially when you have a company like Jillibean Soup that creates all the elements and pieces for you. But what you end up with is a really charming shaker card. Thank you for joining me for the Save the Crafty YouTuber video hop. Be sure to look in my video description below for the next YouTuber that's participating in this hop. All of the supplies are listed in the video description as well. Take a moment to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can see all of my tutorial videos.